Rather than large, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a brand new video. We are diving into the latest around Arsenal, Tielemans, Albert Sambi-Lokonga, Pedro Neto, and more. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's get this video to 800 likes and also subscribe to the podcast as well. We are rushing down the transfer deadline day. It is happening. A lot of transfers are happening. A lot of deals are breaking. Will Arsenal finally get their two missing pieces to the puzzle by the time we close the transfer window? That is the question that every Arsenal fan is asking themselves. But of course, in this episode, we will be discussing a new name on the transfer radar. I really didn't expect Arsenal to have new names on their transfer radar, but we want another midfielder called O'Reilly from Celtic. Arsenal, Man United are both interested, valued at around £20 million. That is what Celtic will be willing to get if they're going to part ways with the central midfielder. And I'm going to tell you why Arsenal probably could do such a deal and we don't do the Tielemans deal. It makes a lot of sense, so you have to listen to me in this one. So sit down and relax. Now, let's start off with the Pedro Neto update, because in the morning I told you that Jorge Mendes had offered the services of Pedro Neto to Arsenal, and now Fabrizio Romano has also confirmed that the player is on the table, very, very much interested in playing for Arsenal. It is now in Arsenal's hands again. I mean, we've not really done well when a situation is in our hands, especially with the Tielemans deal. It has always been in our hands for 3-4 months, and we've really not done well. So Jorge Mendes has offered the player to Arsenal this morning. Arsenal now know where the agent and the player stand, but the question is, are we going to pay £50 million? According to Fabrizio Romano, this deal now entirely depends on Arsenal's willingness to depart or to part actually with £50 million. My question for you in the comment section is, how much do you rate Pedro Neto? Is it advisable for us to pay £50 million quid to Wolverhampton Wanderers? Of course, there is an advantage in this one, is that the advantage is Wolves don't want that money up front. So they're not going to be asking for £50 million quid, just like Leeds United were. It is going to be a payment made in installments, and that is, I think, the positive side of the deal. That is where you escape FFP, and that is where you escape all these other shrewd draws that could financially cripple you as a club. So Jorge Mendes has offered the player to us. Fabrizio says now, will Arsenal's next move is what we are waiting for. If Arsenal make a move in the direction of making a bid, then Wolverhampton Wanderers will listen. But that bid also has to be in the region of 35 to 50 million pounds. That is what Wolverhampton Wanderers will listen to. So anything below that, it will actually not serve us any good. And also, reports are indicating more and more likely that Wilfred Zaha is very close on the list of wingers Arsenal is monitoring as the window closes. Should the Pedro Neto deal fail, should we fail to land Pedro Neto this summer, then Wilfred Zaha is the guy we will actually turn to. I've talked about those two in the morning episode. Make sure you check out the video. It is absolute fire. But now let's dive into the midfield situation, and let's dive into what is happening with our likelihood to sign a new defensive midfielder and a central midfielder. Let's start off with Tielemans and Albert Sambi-Lokonga. Now, reports are indicating that Albert Sambi-Lokonga's departure from Arsenal before the window closes will determine whether we sign Tielemans or not. That is coupled with a couple of other departures, including Hector Bellerin and Ainsley Maitland. Now, for fuck's sake, what are we talking about here? Why are we trying to take a gamble that we know we will lose at the end of the day? That is one thing I'm going to say. Gambling is scary, isn't it? But it is so scary when you take a bet and, like, when you place a bet and in the next few seconds you just realize, I just made the wrong bet. I just placed the wrong bet. It's so scary in that regard. And I think this is what Arsenal are trying to do here. First and foremost, it was Lucas Torreira, and the Athletic reported that the moment Lucas Torreira departs from the Arsenal midfield, then Yuri Tielemans will have a space to come into. And then, all of us were super confident that Lucas Torreira was going to leave Arsenal, at the end of the day. And then, after that, it was Granit Xhaka. We confirmed Xhaka is going to stay 100%, and now it is Albert Sambi Lokonga. There is interest in Lokonga. That is the positive part of the deal. AC Milan are interested in him, and a couple of other clubs around Europe. Now, I'm personally very skeptical about letting Albert Sambi Lokonga go. Although he didn't actually do very well in his first season in the Premier League, I still rate him, and I still rate him very, very highly. So, all this crap, all this talk of Lokonga must leave for Yuri Tielemans to come in. I mean, I understand that, the concept of squad management that Mikel Arteta is trying to work with there. You don't want to have 26 players, yet you can only register 22 or 25. So you want to manage your squad. You want to trim your squad to a sizable, to a sizable form, and also a manageable form. That I understand. What I don't understand with all this crap going on here is if Albert Sambi Lokonga was going to be, a factor for Yuri Tielemans to come in, why haven't we done this all along? Lokonga is a quality player. There's so many clubs that would take him inside the Premier League and outside the Premier League. Like I said, for me, if I'm Everton and Albert Sambi Lokonga is up for grabs for a season-long loan deal, I'm paying double the wages and I'm taking him. Honestly, without a buy, without a buy option, Everton would have taken him. Southampton would have taken him. Newcastle would have taken him. There's so many clubs that would have taken Albert Sambi Lokonga. And even right now, I'm still 100% sure if Arsenal just raise their heads above water and ask that question, anyone in for Albert Sambi Lokonga, no club that has midfield crisis, including Aston Villa, will not come in for Albert Sambi Lokonga. He's a quality player. Probably he needs a loan deal. Now, I don't disagree with Edu and Mikel Arteta when they think about a potential loan deal for Albert Sambi Lokonga. Mikel has been trying to create a new position, not really a new position, but he's been trying to try him out in a couple of different systems and a couple of different positions. In pre-season, we saw him play as a second number 8, but also as in that very high, advanced area of the pitch. Last season, we saw him play as a single pivot, or in a double pivot with Thomas Partey. So look, this is my argument here. When he played with Partey, he played well in a double pivot. When he played high up the pitch, where Xhaka is playing now, he played well. Not really very, very well, but okay, right? So if Mikel is concerned with the development of the player and then decides I'm going to send him on loan to AC Milan, I will agree. But does Milan work out for Albert Sambi Lokonga with the likes of Sandro Tonali in that midfield? Does it work out for Lokonga? I'm not really sure. So, in my opinion, Lokonga should go to a club like, I was about to say Wolverhampton Wanderers because they have a very good manager in Bruno Lage, but I just feel like Ruben Neves and João Moutinho and Matias Nunes, they are irreplaceable. So, I would suggest Brighton for Albert Sambi Lokonga. Brighton, Enoch Mwepu, then Caicedo, then Trossard. If you add Albert Sambi Lokonga in that mix, because last campaign they played with Bissouma and Caicedo for the last part of the campaign when Caicedo joined them in January. So I'm thinking Lokonga would come in as a replacement for Bissouma, and then Caicedo can go on doing that kind of donkey work that he's used to doing. So look, Lokonga, Londale, that really doesn't scare me. We can't get a loan deal. But my anger, stems from the fact that we knew all along that this deal would affect the Yuri Tielemans deal, which was a priority, and why didn't we act sooner than later? Now, of course, other departures that will affect the Yuri Tielemans deal, according to what is happening, Hector Bellerin and Ainsley Maitland-Niles not respectively. So the order should be Lokonga, Niles, and Bellerin, because I think Arsenal will register Ainsley as a midfielder this season, should he stay at the club. So Mikel thinks having Ainsley Maitland-Niles literally means having another midfielder part of your squad. You guys, you now understand why I wanted Mohamed El-Neni out. You understand why? Because with Mohamed El-Neni gone, it would have meant that Arsenal needed someone to replace him directly. But all these other players, Lucas Torreira, Albert Sambi-Lokonga, Ainsley, those ones you can't live without, they can leave and the club can move on without a replacement. So anyway, the interesting part, guys, is that Yuri Tielemans to Arsenal is still on if Lokonga, Ainsley, and Bellerin all leave this summer. Can we complete 3 deals out and 2 deals in the remaining piece of in the remaining period of time? It's a difficult one. It's quite a difficult one. But the advantage or the other positive side of the story is that we are also looking at a new we are looking at a new midfielder. And we are not the only club. We are not the only club looking at him. We are looking at him with Manchester United, and the name is Matt O'Reilly at Celtic. So, according to Team Talk, they have written and said that Arsenal are ready to launch a bid, but Man United are lacking 2 for Celtic midfielder, Matt O'Reilly. Everton have made an approach for the playmaker for the midfielder as well. So, Tielemans on, Tielemans off, doesn't matter now. It depends on outgoings. But there is a deal that Arsenal can do that really doesn't depend on many outgoings, and that is Matt O'Reilly. According to Team Talk, Man United, Arsenal, Everton are all interested in the Celtic Danish midfielder. Now, I've looked at his statistics. He's only 21. He has not played so many minutes, and so he doesn't have so many minutes under his belt, in his senior career. And one thing I think about when I think about Matt O'Reilly is at 21 years of age, with Fabio Vieira already in the team and Albert Sambi-Lokonga in the team. Albert Sambi-Lokonga is 23. What is he gonna do? Because Lokonga is a Mikel Arteta signing. Is Mikel Arteta's boy. And I think Mikel has already made it very clear before that if Lokonga stays, there is no problem. He will get his time on the pitch and he will get his minutes. So, Matt O'Reilly, 21 years of age. He only signed for Celtic this January. I think it was from, they signed him from the Championship, didn't they? From MK Dons. Actually, it's not even the Championship. They signed him from the Championship. From MK Dons for £1.5 million. They're now selling him. He's being looked at as a very prominent midfielder, and anyone that wants to sign him will have to depart with around £20 million. Right midfielder, wrong club. This is my reaction to this one. He's a right midfielder, but the wrong club. I think when you talk about Matt O'Reilly, 21 years of age, from the Scottish League at Celtic, take him to Everton. Take him to which other club needs a midfielder badly? Everton need to correct their midfield. Well, I think Villa need a midfield. I don't know. I don't know what Villa need. Maybe they need a manager. But take him to Aston Villa. Take him to Nottingham Forest. Those are the clubs that I would definitely, see him at. Look, Man United, if they want him, they can take him because they're still in that process of a rebuild, so they can afford to make a few mistakes here and there. But this Arsenal rebuild is 3 years old. it is going to be, at the end of this season, it will be 4 years old. We cannot be signing Matt O'Reilly on deadline day when we have been tracking Yuri Tielemans all summer. That is a downgrade. That is abysmal. And it affects our rating in the window. Remember, I told you right now, I'm rating our window at around 7.5 out of 10. But if we bring in Matt O'Reilly instead of Yuri Tielemans, the rating will drop. And I'm saying this, guys, the rating will drop. Because the Yuri Tielemans deal, look, I do not even care what it depends on. I don't even care what it will take Arsenal to sign Yuri Tielemans. Just get it done. As simple as that. Just get it done. If Lokonga is to make way, send him to AC Milan. I've told you, I don't think we can fail to find market for Albert Sam Lokonga. Among all our utility players, if for lack of a better word, among all our players, all our squad players, Lokonga is one player that I trust that cannot fail to find a club. If Nuno Tavares has found a club at Olympic Marseille with his horrendous beginning to the Arsenal career, then Lokonga will get a club. But we need to do it early, and we need to do it now. For me, it's Tielemans or no one else. Definitely, guys. It's Tielemans or no one else. Now, the advantage, though, with Matt O'Reilly is his versatility. During his... Okay, I cannot say that because he's only made 5 senior appearances in the Scottish Premiership. So I really cannot say during his time at Celtic, because he's not even proven that much, right? So, but he can play according to the FBref website and also the transfer market website. He can play as a defensive midfielder, an attacking midfielder, and largely as a central midfielder. So his most strong attributes of the game are passing and holding on to that ball. So maybe Arsenal need him because of Thomas Partey's uncertainty. And when I looked at it, by the way, when I looked at this story, first and foremost, I went, okay, this could be a deal we are doing because of Thomas Partey. But when I read the profile of the player and try to dive into much of what he's all about, then I was like, okay, the deal doesn't make any sense. The deal doesn't make any sense. I told you I will be tolerant with Arsenal if we don't get Yuri Tielemans, only if we decide to go for a defensive midfielder. Edson Alvarez at Edson Alvarez at Ajax, that kind of midfielder. That one, I'll be okay. And it's going to be a big shame that Edson Alvarez ends up at Newcastle because it's a quality player. And trust me, if they get Edson Alvarez, he's really going to unleash the best out of Bruno Guimaraes, right? And I think Arsenal should be hijacking that deal for Edson Alvarez to Newcastle if it's going to happen anyway. Deals like Sangare were there to do and are still there to be done if we have the resolve in us. So a defensive midfielder is the only thing I will think about, and I'll go, okay, let's go for a defensive midfielder. Let us leave a central midfielder. But currently, Yuri Tielemans should be their priority. Now, I'm very, very happy, right about now, because the difference in prices, the difference in valuation is not being fronted in the media as it was a couple of weeks ago. It seems now Arsenal are just preparing a bid. We are in the process of launching a bid, whether for Pedro Neto, whether for Yuri Tielemans. The difference in valuation is not on the face of the transfer gossip. It is much of Arsenal stalling, which is okay. Arsenal preparing a bid. So if we can move on these players, just like it has been reported, and then we can land Yuri Tielemans, trust me, guys, you will thank me later. Tielemans, there is a lot of optimism now. Pedro Neto depends on Arsenal. Wilfried Zaha is the backup, and Asensio has been offered to Premier League clubs by Jorge Mendes, including Arsenal. That means we could see ourselves signing a Spanish player. Do we have Spanish players in this Arsenal side, really? Do we? I mean, we've let go of Pablo Mari. Pablo Mari is Spanish. I'm not really sure we have Spanish players in this Arsenal side. Do we? I mean, Bellerin is there, but my producer is telling me Hector Bellerin, but you cannot count Bellerin as an Arsenal player right now, can you? He's fighting to cancel his contract. So I think we need a Spanish player. We just need someone Spanish. The manager is Spanish, so having a Marco Asensio in there would actually do us very, very well. Portuguese players, I think we don't have many, but we have so many Brazilians, so we have Portuguese-speaking players. Yeah, I think Marco Asensio would do to represent Spain. But anyway, kidding. I'm saying here, lads. What I'm saying here, lads, is right now Tielemans still the focus, but you have those conditions that have to be fulfilled. Leicester City will be thinking we have 75 million for Fofana. If anyone can give us 25 million in Euro Tielemans, that is 100 million this summer. And trust me, they will replace Fofana with some guy that is valued at around 10, 20 mil. And they will replace Euro Tielemans with some guy valued at around 50 million. Can you imagine getting 100 million euros and spending only around 30 or 40 or even 50? A profit of 50 million, it's worth it. I mean, it's good business. Ajax have done it. 170 million from Ajax, from Man United, for Lisandro Martinez and Anthony. And what have they done? They brought in Barbali. They brought in. I'm really amused with how Ajax make their business. I'm really, really amused. See you soon. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Cossy Arsenal, and Cossy Talks Football, and also 90 more on YouTube. See you very, very soon.